Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to Holy Plot. This is still Liam, if you can even believe it. I'm also here with Jacob and James, sky blue, grass green, and it is a big, big day in the entertainment world. It is, well, you know what? Technically, yesterday was. We'll do a quick little background run. You know, we like to give you context. All of your co-hosts here are pulling some wonky days. We have there have been there have been a lot of man hours for this little piece of content you've just clicked on. So welcome and thank you. But we are going to be talking about mainly in this episode Barbie and Oppenheimer. We have all three seen them both back to back on the same day. But I'm going to real quick hand it over to Jacob to give you some general channel updates and we'll get started. Jacob, take it away.
All right, so cool. So a few things for the channel. If you haven't noticed, we have some actual good branding now. We had like a Microsoft presentation logo and no banner, and now
Well made, I dare say.
it was made in a state of panic on the night of our first
By
episode.
yours truly. Graphic
We
designer.
we had one logo that I made in like the Instagram story creator, and then
I made mine on Google Slides, so
it was desperate times.
Now we got a guy to do it for us. It's still a work in progress. We have like some revisions that we're going to keep doing, getting it in the place that we want it. I think it looks a lot better. Um, Another channel thing is that James and I are at San Diego Comic-Con this week.
yes, we are.
So we're actually recording this in a hotel room. If you notice a bit of an echo, that is why. Um, we are going to be posting at least 2 episodes for CDCC. This episode is being recorded back to back with an episode on Thursday's Hall H programming, which I'm really excited to talk about. So go check that out after this and like and subscribe. And I think we can start. So, Liam, give us your opinion on Barbie because I think you might be the most enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, so going in, first of all, I had no misgivings about how much I was going to enjoy the Barbie movie. From its inception, I thought it was going to be at the very worst really really funny. Um, so
Once
I
Inception was an Amy Schumer-led project.
so I guess I'll preface it with I am not like a comedy person, which is ironic because I'm a known joke teller, but I'm not a good joke listener, I guess. Uh,
Okay.
I don't usually go for lighthearted, campy comedy stuff, really. It's not that I dislike it, it just doesn't really connect with me. But there were multiple points in this movie, and I was in a completely sold out theater. And everyone was doing the same thing where I was just laughing out loud. Ryan Gosling in this movie is
He's so funny.
He's so
he is
funny.
so funny in this movie. I even just thinking about it right now. I mean, just everything about his character, from the inflections he gave it to the song which they released early and I didn't watch, and I'm very glad that I didn't watch because it was
Yeah, I
easily the
didn't listen to it
funniest
either.
bit of the entire movie. But then even the the woman who played Weird Barbie, I forget her name. Is it like Kate McKinnon
Kate,
or something?
Kate McKinnon, yeah.
Yeah, I don't usually find her super funny. I think she's on SNL or one of the equivalents. Even she was funny in this movie.
She was
So
one of the 2016 Ghostbusters.
yeah,
Wow.
which
That's
she was
nightmarish.
cracking me up in this. And Margot Robbie, obviously, you
She
know,
killed it.
she hasn't had a career miss that I can name, and she's just absolutely perfect for this role. And
Yeah, she's
way
even
more.
like good in bad movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even in like Suicide Squad, the original, no one's problem with that movie was Margot Robbie. So
I was glad she got this win because she had to deal with a couple bombs between like Birds of Prey and Babylon.
But
And
Babylon is a
But
masterpiece.
people were starting to pin that on her. And I thought that was unfair. They're
you
like they're
could
trying to act like
tell
she wasn't a draw, which I was like, no way. She's great.
you could tell that she was having the time of her life filming this. Everyone involved, really.
So it was, I mean, it was like the thing we talked about last week, where like you said that like every good piece of media oftentimes like has like the sentiment like you can tell blank is having the best time of their life.
Yeah,
And I feel
or
like this time
even
around it was Ryan Gosling.
Especially Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. There was some rumblings before the movie comes out, which there's always this kind of stuff for any role that gets cast in Hollywood. It's just a thing on the internet. But people are like, "Oh, I can't see him being Ken. I don't know. He's a blah blah blah, one thing or another." Man, Ryan Gosling was born to play that role. That was so funny.
Hmm.
Yeah, he killed it.
So what would you give it out of 10?
I gave Barbie a comfortable 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Wow.
I thought that it was self-aware in ways that wasn't just, oh, this is a movie about a toy that has like messaging in it, but even the product placement in the movie was pretty funny because like the whole
For
movie
sure.
is pretty much one giant Mattel commercial, and it knows that, and it, instead of tiptoeing around it or being overly critical of Mattel or overly like dick righty for Mattel, Will Ferrell's character was hysterical in this. It was a really, I felt, honest and sincere look at the company and the shortcomings it has and the good it's done. And then also just the other product placement. I remember when they went up into the boardroom, there was a giant, obvious Warner Brothers Discovery logo on one of the buildings. Like
Oh yeah,
stuff,
in
I
the
saw
background.
that.
yeah, stuff like that is, which would usually be so I don't know what word I'm looking for. It's like 4:30 in the morning,
Forced.
Chicago. Not even forced, like unpalatable. It doesn't matter. It in the context of this movie and what it was doing, even the product placement I thought was pretty funny. So that just goes to show how enjoyable I found this movie. I thought the musical numbers in this were hilarious. I thought that what it had to say, uh, there are people online who already you can see. I mean, you can imagine the discourse with this kind of movie online from certain
For
pockets of
sure,
the
yeah.
internet. There are people say it's like, oh, it's preachy, woke, man-hating crap, and I think that is untrue. I think that
Yeah.
the movie is much more pro dude than a lot of its detractors give it credit for. But it's undoubtedly, obviously, a feminist
Feminist.
piece of media. Which I mean,
Oh
if
Which
yeah.
I mean it's a
you,
Barbie movie.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. If
Yeah,
you're
would be.
going, if you were the type of person who can't handle like a story about women in your media without freaking out, I don't know why you're going to see the Barbie movie.
Yeah, it's
But
for girls.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's it's like there's a dismissive joke about like calling something X for girls, but the Barbie movie's undoubtedly for girls.
Yeah, I mean it has four quadrant appeal, but it absolutely is like
Yeah, which is
the most
good. I mean,
appealing to
Like
like young girls.
it
first we
should
went
be.
through this with Turning Red, and then now it's Barbie. So
Yeah,
So I'll,
but my point with it is, and then I'll turn it over to you guys because I've talked for a while. Is it is above all very funny, and I was laughing with it more than at it, which is more than I thought I would. What it has to say is interesting, and I think probably worth saying, especially
yeah.
with the current climate of our culture. Not to say it's perfect messaging. I mean, obviously, it's the Barbie movie. It's not going to be the most subtle thing on the planet, but I don't know. It was a very, very good electric time at the movies, and that is becoming harder and harder to get. So 9 out of 10.
All right, so I'll go next. I'll probably give this movie like a solid 8 out of 10. I thought for a movie that was clearly I'm not like the target audience of this at all. Even though there's been like this awesome, ironic / not ironic fan movement around it.
It kind of became non-ironic pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I was genuinely excited for this movie. I know you guys were too.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that despite all that, I had a really good time. I definitely feel like this is a movie that has like its specific audience in mind, but like it can still be enjoyed by everyone, which I feel like
Mm-hmm.
is like something that Hollywood is abandoning. Like no matter who they're trying to appeal to, like they just kind of like leave the rest in the dust. I don't think this movie did that. So like if like your daughter wants to go see this movie and you're like worried it's gonna be a slog, I still think you'd find some enjoyment from it. Um, I do have a couple things to note. I really like that this movie didn't abandon like Barbie world like kind of flair. I thought like from the trailer it's kind of gonna be like a fish out of water elf type thing.
Like all the fun Barbie rule stuff is just the prologue, and then it's gone.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like Themyscira and
Like
Wonder
or like
Woman.
Elf.
Yeah, so I'm glad it didn't do that. It definitely bounced around with it a little bit in the second act, which I do think was my least favorite part of the movie. But it didn't abandon it, which I was really glad. That was something I was a little concerned about going in, and that was a delightful surprise because it has a very unique look to it, and it's like really just like genuinely just like fun is the only way to put it. So I'm glad that the movie played to that strength. I do like Will Ferrell's character in this movie, but I kind of wish he got a little bit more screen time in the last act of the film.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to spoil Barbie, but the movie just has a lot going on, and it's funny. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a big Will Ferrell fan. James is too. We kind of grew up with him a little bit, so I wish we got to see more of him because I think they were doing something interesting with his character, but then they kind of abandoned it. Where like he says at one point that like it's I'm in it for giving young girls dreams, not money. And I thought they were like gonna kind of subvert your expectations, but then he just kind of turns out to be like another you know CEO executive.
They floated it out there, and then it's like they forgot about it, and the next time he shows up.
Yeah, it was like I guess they were just trying to play it off as a joke, but I don't know. I feel like I would have liked it for him to be like, no, I'm dead serious. Like I do care about little girls' dreams. That's my main motive. That would have been kind of like a funny twist of that trope. And he's been in this role multiple times, even in other franchises about like toy products, like the Lego Movie. Um, Ryan Gosling was perfect in this. He's perfect in everything he's in. I mean, he's one of my favorite actors.
It's
I think
literally
he's very
me. I mean,
popular here.
it's literally me. I'm him.
Jeez.
Okay. Anyways, you've heard that joke 5,000 times on the internet.
It's
So,
not a joke.
all right, whatever. You get my point. It was a good movie. I had a great time with it. I think it's the best a Barbie movie could be. I think its feminist messaging was most of the time handled pretty well. I think there are some scenarios where I wish it would have. Like, I had no problem with the feminist messaging. In fact, I thought it was really well done. But sometimes there was like some weird scenes that were like played off as jokes, and I'm like, that kind of contradicted what you just said. Like, there's this moment where the Barbies get control back of the government, and the Kens are like, well, how about we have a balanced, like, representative government and put some of us on the Supreme Court? And they're like, no, why would we ever do that? I thought that
No,
was like,
that's the point though.
I know it's the point, but it's like the movie, like, actually had like some like productive messaging going on that I like really enjoyed, and I feel like it would have been like it had like the whole thing with Ken where it's like he was being like kind of an incel, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This
He really
movie
did.
this movie reminded me a lot of Don't Worry Darling, which is funny because this is made about like Barbie dolls.
Dude, things are not as they seem.
Things are not supposed to be.
And that movie's
Some
awful and it like takes itself like uber serious and this movie's about like little toys. So I thought that was really funny. But it like kind of confronted like incel culture and I would have liked for like them to take that and run with it a little bit more. But I think it's a kids movie at the end
I
of
don't
the
know. I
day.
feel like they kind of did. I really don't know what they would
Okay.
do. I really don't know what they would do to like dive into that more. I
Hmm.
feel
I
I
was,
feel
yeah.
especially in the third act with I mean all of the Ken dude humor was so hilarious in this movie. Like,
Oh no, the movie.
That Ken actually became
like
like the antagonist. I didn't
I
know that
know,
at all.
a lot of these like ultra vitriolic 1-star Barbie reviews by these dudes is so funny.
It's
Like,
so funny. That's the
man,
thing.
have a little self-awareness, man. Come on.
It's because of the Snyder Cut joke.
That's, you know what? I bet that's unironically kind of true for some of these people.
Okay. I might get clowned on this a little bit, but I felt like there were multiple times in this movie where that joke could have been funnier than where they placed it.
Yeah, it's fair.
Like it was
I
a
don't know.
hilarious joke in the context of the movie, and like even the scenario they were under. But I feel like it was just like blurted out loud because like it's topical, and I felt like you could have weaved it into like
The second act, when the fish out of water stuff, it probably would have fit.
No, I like
That's-
it when he was like, because like, okay, this is just a good way to get hate on the internet, but like the Snyder fan base can be vitriolic, and like they can follow some of the same mental traps that the Kens were, which is just such a funny sentence to be saying.
The Kendom.
I mean,
Yeah,
come on,
and
it's so funny.
it's so funny. I just,
joke I thought was better.
yeah, the Godfather joke was
That
hilarious.
was funny.
That's
It
what
was
that's what I laughed at the hardest. That's like, I'm gonna be honest,
That was the
dude,
best joke in the movie.
that was the best joke in the movie.
I've pretty much done that exact thing. Like, come on, you guys, we can have a little bit of fun here
Dude, I had an
at our own
amazing
expense.
time
Yeah,
Come on.
at this movie.
I
What
don't
would you
get
give it
being
out of
like
I'll give it
extreme
a-
stuff
yeah.
in the movie.
I don't have much more to add on other than, I thought definitely just the best part of the movie was that Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling were on equal footing with great performances. Like one never stole it from the other. And I actually really did enjoy a lot of what they were doing with like Barbie as a character, which is like it's funny to like talk about like character breakdown lingo with Barbie. But no, like they did like actually give her character things to go through and mentally, and I enjoyed it. And then just Ryan Gosling was super funny. Like I said, I didn't really watch a lot of the trailers, and I had no idea that Ken was gonna just go full syndrome.
I didn't know that either.
And I had a lot of fun with that. And then yeah, just I kind of I mean like I agree with you with Will Ferrell. I think they kind of had almost like they had like a role reversal where you would think Will Ferrell would be the villain of the movie.
Yeah.
And I thought they were gonna play off that a bit more.
Well, if you like didn't watch the trailers, it definitely felt like he was going to be like
The villain.
yeah, like chasing after
Like the
guy.
Barbie back in a box thing was gonna be like the main like the conflict.
Yeah.
But you know what? I had a fun time. A Barbie movie that has a little bit of elf in it, is more than I would have ever asked for.
It's a really good concept, honestly.
Anticipated. I'd probably give it. I think I'd just give it a nice 7.
Okay.
Which isn't dogging on it at all. I
I
thought
mean,
it
it's a
was-
good score.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun, easy time at the movies.
So, do we have anything else to really say on this, guys?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I
like
think,
the most out of the three of us.
yeah, this is an absolute. I think it's safe to say, Holy Plot recommends.
I mean, yeah,
I'm
definitely
obvious.
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure you already have. I mean, it's going to make a very, very, very nice bit of money, even though it's not doing so well in China. I saw.
Hmm.
Did you guys hear about
Really?
that? Yeah.
didn't-
So there's been here, a quick little aside here while we're in between movies because this also affects Oppenheimer. All Hollywood movies recently have not been doing super hot in China specifically. I think I want to
that because of-
say. Sorry.
Is that because of like the fact that COVID was still going on a little bit in China?
Yeah, so from what I understand, and mind you, it's limited, but Hollywood movies are just fairly recently starting to trickle back across the pond to China.
Mhm.
And I also think there's probably a little bit of resentment going on with just Hollywood movies in general in China, which is
Hmm.
kind of par for the
Well,
course.
Here's the crazy thing: they're bombing over here too.
Well, I mean, there was a whole controversy with this movie and China. Do you remember
with
that?
the map, with the map
Mhm.
lines.
It's banned in Vietnam. I
Vietnam.
know that. Yeah. But
They blurred it out in the Philippines.
I think it's I want to say sitting in like 5th place behind just local blockbusters in China, which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. I don't have a
Market,
ton to say about it.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest.
I think we as a podcast can probably safely meet in the middle at an 8 for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, go see it. It's funny. You'll have a good time. I mean, it's the Barbie movie. There's not that much to say about it.
Go see it with Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah, do a
it's
double feature, you coward.
Worthy double feature. It's very fun to watch them together. Which
We should start talking about Oppenheimer
let's
now.
go
Yeah,
for it.
speaking of
So
double
I
feature.
will lead us off.
Jacob's like the Nolan guy, like the main
Oh
Nolan guy.
god.
So.
Okay, so you're making me look like a bit of an NPC. So I will admit Inception is my favorite movie. I don't really see that changing. But I will admit I think that this film gave Inception a bit of a run for its money as far as Nolan's best movie.
Damn, really?
Agreed.
Dude.
Damn.
Me and James were raptured.
Did you see it in Disney Springs in the giant theater? No,
No.
you're not. You're not in Florida.
We're in San Diego for the con.
I'm so tired.
That'd be fantastic, though. Make me want to do the drive.
Dude, you live in California. You're not driving.
I know. I know what I said.
Stop.
No cost too great.
No, I absolutely loved this movie. I had really high expectations going in. I'd consider that Nolan has, before this movie, 3 masterpieces with The Dark Knight, Inception, Interstellar, and I expected this movie to be one of those masterpieces. I didn't watch a single trailer for this movie. I love Cillian Murphy. I wanted Nolan to get a slam dunk because I thought Tenet was kind of underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And with all that said, it surpassed my expectations. I can confidently say that I like this movie more than The Dark Knight and Interstellar.
Holy crap, man.
Wow.
I mean, that's good, but damn.
Did not expect that. Dude, the screenwriting
Interstellar.
in this movie is just phenomenal. The performances are Oscar worthy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
It's
think
some of Nolan's best.
I think Cillian Murphy's probably gonna win lead actor.
Absolutely.
far.
Should at least be in the running.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He'll be nominated. He'll definitely be nominated.
I don't think anyone could have played Oppenheimer the way he did.
No, nobody else could do it as good as this.
The movie just looks fantastic. James, you were saying about how it's like entirely shot on IMAX, like they never held back and switched cameras.
No, yeah, because like usually, at least Christopher Nolan was talking about this. They'll switch over to different cameras for close-ups, and Christopher Nolan was just getting this giant IMAX camera into somebody's face, and he was like, "We're gonna get close-ups with IMAX cameras. We're getting everything with the IMAX camera." It is the longest roll of IMAX to where it maxed out what the machine can handle.
There's this really claustrophobic setting in this film, and it's like this, basically the size of like an RV interrogation room that's filled up with like all these interrogators and attorneys.
Oh yeah.
And it's just all these close-up shots, and I'm like, I just can't imagine just like a giant IMAX camera like poking people's faces and these like close-up shots that are disorienting.
There's just something about doing everything with the IMAX camera and the detail that it can capture. It just made this movie look so unique.
So I will say I absolutely love this movie. I was blown away by it. I don't think I'm going to be the only one that feels that way.
Blown away.
Yeah, I am genuinely just shocked to feel the way I do about it, given how much I love some of Nolan's films, and just confidently to be able to say that I would put this movie over those is just astounding for me. This is definitely my favorite movie of the year so far.
Wow.
I would give this a 10 out of 10. It could possibly be in my top 10.
Holy crap.
This is the most optimistic you're gonna hear me on this podcast.
Brother loved Oppenheimer. I mean, that's good.
Look, I am very critical of some of Nolan's movies. I might get flamed for this, but I don't really like Batman Begins. I think it's
You
a
underrate
very
that
poor adaptation.
Pretty good.
It's a very poor adaptation of its 2 villains. I love Cillian Murphy and the character of Scarecrow, but I don't think he has some of the characteristics that I look out for, and I don't like Raish in that movie at all.
He's all right.
He's whitewashed, and it's
that's
annoying.
very true.
That's a tangent, but you get my point. I can be very critical of his movies. I genuinely just did not like Tenet. It's convoluted in the worst ways, and this movie just feels so refined in comparison and just so excellently executed that it's got to be my favorite movie of the year so far, and I don't know how it's going to be topped. So I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Perfect masterpiece, Hall of Famer. This will be in the Library of Congress for sure.
And Liam, I'm gonna hop off Jacob's opinion because it sounds like you might have the one that's a little bit more varied.
Yeah,
Uh,
go
I
for
can
it.
say that for sure. I just did not like Tenet. I did not think Tenet was good. So I was just very curious going into this movie because I've liked Nolan's more fantasy concept type stuff like Inception and Interstellar. It's more grounded stuff. I can totally I enjoy it, but maybe not as much. I was totally shocked how much I actually just loved this movie. How much I got invested into like the history that they were portraying, the world they set up, and Cillian Murphy actually blew me away. I did not expect him to be that good.
I mean, he is a fantastic
Um,
actor.
and it's not really a spoiler. It's just talking about how the movie's structured. Though, I think it's safe to just kind of talk openly about this movie.
I
Um,
mean, it came out a couple days ago.
but yeah, but I guess to
I would
say,
give our verdicts on it, and then we can move into that.
yeah, well, I
I
will.
mean, it's also happened in like real
Yeah,
life.
here's what I'll say. It's actually everything that they cover that takes place after the explosion
Hmm.
that made this movie so incredible to me. It's really not, I mean, I enjoyed the build up to the bomb going off, but it felt kind of like I was like, okay, this is just Nolan doing standard biopic stuff.
But it was still
But it was
so
still
riveting.
really well done. But it was all of the drama of the aftermath that took this movie to be like a just clear 10 out of 10 for me.
So
Um,
where would you rank it amongst Nolan's films?
where would I rank it amongst Nolan's films? I still think that the Dark Knight's top dog because
That's crazy, but
the
okay.
Dark Knight.
Actually, that's not crazy at all. That's
That's not crazy. What are you talking about?
There's just there, man. It's just I just think that what they did. Not going to tangent on this, but what they did with Heath Ledger's performance is just something that's not going to be captured on film like ever again.
okay.
So after that, it is a toss up between Inception and this movie and Oppenheimer. I almost said Dunkirk. Between this movie and Oppenheimer, and I did not expect it to pass Interstellar, but I
I
think
mean,
unless recency bias really wears off, I think I liked this more than Interstellar. So it's
Dude,
the
that's
two.
crazy.
I am deeply in love with Inception. I don't want to like pontificate about it too much, but I like don't even blame James for feeling that way. Like if someone told me that they liked this movie more than Inception by like a significant margin, I wouldn't like look at them sideways or anything.
No, this is like when people used to compare like Toy Story, Monsters Inc., and Finding Nemo. You're
Yeah.
talking about amazing 10 out of 10 movies, but
Yeah, I mean Nolan's got 4 10 out of 10s in my opinion at this point, and it's like while I wouldn't put Dark Knight at number one, I don't blame you for doing it at all. All right, so Liam, let's get your take.
Uh, right off the bat, I love this movie. I love the shit out of this movie. Even I give it another extremely comfortable 9 out of 10, closer to a 10 than an 8.
Okay.
I am a very big feel guy. I like media that grabs me and makes me feel a certain kind of way. It's probably why I connect with stuff like horror so much. Um, and I will say that this movie absolutely nails that. This was
Oh yeah.
harrowing and upsetting at times. It was haunting is another good word for it. It felt monumental. I mean, this was a movie that lived up to the scale, in my opinion, and I guess if your guys's, if it's at a 10, that
oh
lived
yeah.
up to the scale of humanity having the power to destroy itself with the push of buttons. I mean, you felt the gravity of that, which is a testament to Nolan's filmmaking. It's a testament to, I think, his approach and I would even say obsession with capturing the authenticity of what happened, whether it be through practical effects, which are, I mean, that the nuclear blast in this movie, the practical
There's no
ones,
CGI in this film.
It's so nice.
it's legitimately incredible. It could potentially be the best single scene this year is the dropping of the bomb for the first time. I mean,
You might be
I
surprised what I eventually say is my favorite scene, but I'll save that maybe for after.
yeah, we'll get to that because I would like to hear it. But just the bomb drop scene, everything about it, the immense weight of that scene that is. I mean, after the bomb drop scene, Cillian Murphy is playing that scene in every single scene afterwards. I mean, you could just
Oh
tell
yeah.
there
Oh,
is
yeah.
as soon as he lays eyes on that blast, he is a different character, which is a testament to
It's
the
accurate.
acting, of course, but the writing as well. I mean, for me, I'm weird when I give out of 10 scores because there can be a perfect movie. I won't give a 10 because it just doesn't have the 10 out of 10 movie X factor for me, which is something I can't put my
That's
finger
fair.
on and just know it when
Yeah.
I
I mean,
know it.
some movies just need like that personalized push.
No, that makes
Yeah, but it's objectively speaking, filmmaking wise, is one of, if not the most technically impressive things of the year. That being said, I'm not even sure if it cracks my top 5 for this year. It definitely.
Wow.
Let's see. Yeah, it sure doesn't. My top 5 this year are Skinamarink, Spider-Verse, Barbie actually, John Wick, and Guardians, and then Oppenheimer's number 6. It just misses it.
I mean, this year, not to get unfocused, has been so hit or miss.
Yeah.
But
We are
when it
getting
hits, it hits.
we are getting like movies like what was the last thing we talked about on here?
Mission
That was a
Impossible.
film.
Mission Impossible, and then
Okay, that
before
was good.
Before that, Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. Yeah, you're getting
Stinker.
Indiana Jones and then you're getting Oppenheimer. And
Yeah.
there's like really no in between.
Yeah, you get
To
stuff like The
to wrap up my
Flash.
thoughts on it though, I mean, absolutely go see it. I think I'm comfortable with the podcast score being a 10 because I do think that this movie has very few problems. I guess if you really wanted to argue that it is a smidge too long, I guess, but I
I disagree.
disagree. Yeah,
Yeah, I would disagree with
I
that.
can see how this movie can be daunting and maybe hard to follow on a first watch, but I mean everything. I don't think there's just a extra scene in this movie. I don't think anything's like obvious to. Oh, I would have cut that. But the ultimate thing for this movie is just how it feels for me and the just the moral terror of it all. I mean, this is a movie that sits you down, looks you in the face, and says, "This really happened. The world you are living in, the age you are living in, is a result of this." I mean, it's crazy. It's just
I mean,
no.
none of us were alive for the Cuban Missile Crisis, but I just can't imagine like being alive after being alive during like World War II and then being a part of that event.
I mean,
Yeah.
if your film's tagline for your historical this actually happened movie is the world forever changes, you better fire off a practical nuke.
Yeah, live up to that.
Yeah,
Dude, they did.
it did. So go see it.
Really
Holy
did.
Plot recommends at a 10 out of 10. Good
It's,
movie.
dude,
Good movie.
I don't give that lightly, man.
No, I really don't. And I do not have something clear across the Spider-Verse easily either. But immediately jumping into spoilers, I just gotta say, Robert Downey Jr. is
Oh
worth
my
talking about
God.
right now
Oh,
because
sure, yeah.
So
he was good through the movie, but he came in at the end and just
stole that last scene.
stole the ending.
I think I know the scene you're talking about. It's when
Just where he gets in the office and just rants.
It's a
because-
monologue.
because
Yeah.
of that doctor hit jobbing him in the hearing.
Yeah, Rami Malek's character.
You could tell Robert Downey Jr. was immensely proud of this movie just with what he was saying.
Yeah,
Which
he
He
was
said
really
it's his favorite thing
should
he's
be.
ever done.
I can see why. I mean, it's the best performance from him that I've seen. Easy.
I didn't know after how iconic he became as Iron Man. I didn't know if I could see him as another character. I didn't know if he was going to kind of struggle with that issue where you just see the actor
He does not have that problem in this
and
movie.
he doesn't. And I was pretty shocked by it. You know, people have said that about people like Daniel Radcliffe and other actors where they take a role and they embody it for so long that when you see them in something else, you just see the face of
it's
the
nothing
actor.
against the actors. I mean,
No,
even,
it's not at all. It's just because he did a role so prominent, but he was in the character. You could tell it was him. He had some of his, voice mannerisms, but he really did become this character.
I don't know. He
And
had like, in my opinion, he had like distinctly different cadences and pauses to his acting.
everything felt very intentional.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like he felt like he was really taking this at a different pace than I've seen him before, and I pray to God he gets an Oscar nomination. I mean, I'd be shocked if he
For
doesn't.
supporting, no, definitely.
Oh, he really
Yeah.
should get that.
This
Thoughts on
is
RCA?
I mean, it's a best picture contender for this year.
Oh my God.
I
I
think
think it
it's
has
a
to
pretty
be.
safe bet.
And I think that another thing was I was really glad to see that they paired him with Alden
You
Ehrenreich.
beat me to it.
Because I like
Underrated Jim.
underrated gem. He's really only been in Solo, and I think that he was good in that. I wanted to see him do more, and I was glad that even though it was a bit part, I thought every line that he
He was a
had.
pretty impactful character.
Yeah, he proved to be pretty impactful. I could totally see there being a longer cut of this movie with like him in a prologue scene.
Yeah.
I feel like he has a couple scenes in the mix that got cut out, but for what was in the movie, unless it was everything, he just played off RDJ very well
Yeah,
to really
he.
deliver the final messages of the movie. I thought he
Mhm.
did great.
I was going in concerned when he was announced to be in this movie that he was going to be like in a couple of scenes, but he was like one of the focal characters.
Out of all those like random castings that almost had to become like a joke online, where it's like, okay, now Josh Peck's in it, and Devin Bostic is in it, and
Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid is in it.
They got the Green
Ehrenreich.
Goblin in it.
Yeah, it's like, and they had Dane DeHaan. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
just
Dane
get
DeHaan was good in this movie.
It's like, let's just
He
get everybody.
was.
Austin Butler's about to be in it. Like everybody's in it. I'm glad that Alden Ehrenreich, out of all those people that came in, I'm glad that Alden Ehrenreich got honestly the most to chew on.
No, he was great in this movie. I mean, we're not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole in this episode, but in the slog that is modern Star Wars, his Han Solo is just such a standout to me. And I know that's probably a bit of a controversial take,
Oh yeah, probably.
but
I'm not
I will
saying
take
shit
him as
about
Han
Star Wars.
Solo.
No.
I will take him as Han Solo over like reanimated, uncanny Harrison Ford in Indy 5 any day of the week. And I'm so glad that he's getting movies like this, and I hope he keeps getting them because he was fantastic, and he was just such a reliable actor. Another actor that was good in this was Matt Damon.
Yeah, he was.
He said that he was gonna go on a break from acting, and his one condition was if Nolan called him. And then like a month after he's like was gonna start his break with his wife, Nolan called him to be in this movie. So he canceled his break, and this movie was actually filmed in like 57 days.
57 days. Yeah, which is crazy for a movie of this size.
Dude, it's 3 hours
this
long.
runtime. And like I said, I still feel like there's probably a version of this movie where like when they are jumping around and
They
they're
do.
doing snippets, I am sure that I wonder if there's a version of this movie where if you stripped it all out chronologically and then did the full versions of the scenes, man, is there like a 4.5 hour version of this movie?
No, it felt like a TV show.
I have to wonder because I would absolutely watch like a 4.5 hour like Lord of the Rings style cut of this movie.
No, I haven't watched it, but it kind of reminds me of how people talk about Chernobyl. It's like this incredibly like intimate, descriptive, like modern depiction of like a historical event that's like super iconic, but like we don't take enough look at because like I feel like Oppenheimer just as like a historical figure, like at least like in like our education, I don't really feel like we learned enough about him personally.
Well, I feel like it's always kind of one of those things where, I mean, they definitely talk about the nuclear bombs, but they don't like stew on it to be like, here's the guy who created it and the journey of how, because it's not exactly a point of pride. It's
Yeah,
kind of
this is an educational movie.
It is, and I wanted to kind of say, and this, Liam, this might kind of bring you back in because I also definitely watch movies off feel.
Same. In the same way.
And that's why I didn't know how much I was going to connect with this movie. I was like, how informational is it going to be? Is it going to be Nolan with his more mundane tone where it's very kind of sterile almost? And I was, I was surprised. Well, that's really kind of top tenets where that kind of started to become almost a caricature of when it was a smaller issue. I was really surprised how much I got pulled into this guy's story because we've learned so little about him in our own history.
Yeah.
And they instantly dropped the little, Prometheus comparison. And so I thought that did a really good job of getting me in the right mindset to watch this movie because the whole time I'm watching this guy who's quiet, a bit troubled by his intelligence, and he has a genuine scientific passion. In the early scenes of this movie, I felt like I was watching this tragic thing where it's like this guy just wanted to probably grow up to be like any of the other famous scientists in
He just wanted to
history.
be a professor.
He wanted to be like Einstein. He wanted to be like all the other famous minds that he's probably studied. And you know where it's going.
Yeah.
And they really set him up as both a tragic figure, but also one that's very complicated to look at because he is tortured by what he did. He was even starting to acquire this guilt as he did it. They get into how he justifies it to himself and what other people tell him. They make him seem very complicated.
I mean, we talk about it like when we got out of the theater. This feels like Nolan is like also like trying to set the record straight a little bit.
Yeah, I think Nolan looked at something that got a bit sidestepped in history, and he was like, "Wait a minute, there's really a story to tell here that's not in like the public consciousness."
So, do you know what brought about Nolan making this movie?
I do. You go for it though.
Liam, do you know this?
I do not.
Okay, you'll get a kick out of this. So at the Tenet wrap party, Robert Pattinson gave Nolan the book about Oppenheimer that this movie's inspired by.
Huh, that's cool. Shout out Robert Pattinson. He's being a top guy even when he's not in the movie.
Yeah, he wasn't in this movie.
That's surprising.
Yeah, but
I think he said that he wasn't available.
Yeah, he's probably just busy. He's kind of a hot commodity right now with Batman.
And then another character that I was actually surprised how much I enjoyed his presence, and it didn't feel odd. I really liked how they used Einstein in this movie.
Did you guys pop off?
Huh?
Did you pop off in the theater when he showed up?
I did pop off.
I also popped off. I clapped. I went, Albert!
Einstein cameo.
There's a moment in this movie where, oh my God, our theater died in laughter.
Okay, yeah, just say it.
Where Cillian Murphy and Florence Pugh are having like full frontal nude like conversation.
In the chairs in the hotel room or whatever, the apartment.
Yeah. And Oppenheimer goes, "You told me no," he's like, what did he say?
He said, "You asked me to come."
And I'm glad I did it.
Oh, yeah, I leaned over to one of my friends. I said, "Yeah, I'm sure he did."
No, dude.
Our theater broke.
Started snickering.
No, it was not a snicker. It was a laugh.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
This is so in character. It's Holy Plot Podcast. Big takeaway from Oppenheimer is the cum joke.
It was the fact that the theater got so collectively immature about it.
It's really funny.
But dude, the way they said it, it was like one of those
And it's just
videos.
like in the context
No,
of the scene.
I remember that. No, it's pretty funny. Well, you know what I'll say about Oppenheimer? It's the bomb. I had a blast. Would recommend.
So we should lightly touch on Barbie versus Oppenheimer.
Who won?
Who do we think won?
I think it's pretty obvious
imagine
where we're
the
leaning.
plot audience is guessing maybe.
You guys are intelligent. You've got pattern-seeking intelligence.
Liam, which movie did you like more?
By a smidge. I think they're both very good. By a smidge, I liked Barbie more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know how James and I feel about it.
Oh yeah.
Do we feel like the event lived up to the hype?
Yes.
At least in Chicago, just when you were out walking around anywhere near a movie theater, there were easily like 20 people wearing something stupid in pink just everywhere you went.
No, our theater was like alive. And it's like it was like a random theater in like the San Diego area.
This was just fun because it was a movie event that wasn't, it wasn't Avengers Endgame. It was kind of nice to see a movie event for like there's big
original movies
theaters where it's and then there's like no, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh,
But again, it was nice to see like a movie event where it wasn't like just the whole comic book side of the movie, like the movies.
blockbuster hustle.
Like yeah, this was such a fun thing to have happened, and we at least got a theater crowd that definitely kind of delivered, I think, on what everybody wanted this to be.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I
my
mean,
my theater was a zoo in the best kind of way. People were losing it at like every scene.
We had some people losing it in Barbie. There were some people that were seriously laughing in that movie, and I feel like it's nice because this is something where like people, this is like this whole thing that directors want, where like theaters bring people together, and it's like you don't realize we're all a lot more antisocial now. This is like what they want. This is what they want theaters to be again.
yeah, I mean,
So
this felt like a real social event. Like it is it's the entertainment event of the year.
Well, it was funny because I would look around in Oppenheimer and there would be like recognizable people wearing something stupid for Barbie, and then you'd go back into the theater. I had like an hour in between showings, and it was the exact same people I'd sat with for 3 hours. We were going to watch Barbie.
Yeah,
It was funny.
we had James what like 10 minutes of like total like we got into the theater and there were 10 minutes of trailers and then Oppenheimer started.
yeah,
And
about
I didn't feel that 5 hours at all.
no, I mean I
And
only
like
went on here.
I've literally been up for 50 hours at this point.
Yeah, I've been up for not nearly that long, but it's been a lot of driving for me today.
Because I was in Hall H the entire like day before this and in line the night before it and flying the night before that.
Tune in for that video.
Yeah, peep the Twitter. It's live.
Yeah, and in the top right corner of your screen, it's gonna give you a link to that video. Go click it.
You do what we say. You do it now. You click on it now, even. Then you come back and you finish watching this one because I said so.
Both these movies like really played well off each other. I didn't feel like the runtime on either of them. I cannot recommend enough doing a double feature. I really think you should go see both these movies on the same day with some buddies.
It's fun. It's fun to do it that way. I think more
Absolutely.
so than like waiting another day.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to set aside like evening and night to do both.
It's
Yeah,
worth
sure.
it. I mean,
Give yourself a break.
how
in the
many
middle.
times is this going to happen in your lifetime that you get the new ultra heavy Nolan movie releasing on the same day as Barbie and Pikman 4, baby, just in case you needed something to do besides these two movies, which there's going to be coverage of that from this channel as well. Stay tuned.
That's gonna be coming out in like a few episodes. We have like 5 episodes coming out this week. It's gonna be crazy.
It'll be a couple days. I have to actually play the game, but yeah, Pikmin 4.
My last major thought on the whole thing is that this really did feel like that classic Nolan feeling of like chewing on a movie.
Oh yeah.
And like it really requires you to sit there and process it. And I can promise this thing is going to be awesome on rewatch.
This is a movie that you have to respect, or
I was walking out of it and I
you're
was like,
gonna
I
get-
gotta rewatch this.
you're going to get
And
lost.
I think Barbie's going to just be like a classic family movie, like the Lego movie or something like that.
It was
Yeah.
very Lego movie, I thought.
I thought
Yeah.
so.
Do we have anything else on this event?
I don't think so. I think that just about wraps it up. I know I definitely liked Oppenheimer a bit more, but man, totally worth it to do it as a double feature. I enjoyed this.
I mean,
for the
both
movies.
movies were just, in my opinion, the best they both could have been.
Yeah, good time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They both delivered for sure.
Go support movie theaters. Go do it.
Yeah, and get some friends together because the energy was just insane.
Yeah, that especially Barbie. Go. I know all of you viewers have one goon you can take out to see Barbie. You'll have a good time.
In our Oppenheimer showing, there were like entire rows of like dudes in like suits.
Oh yeah.
I was wearing a full suit with like a bright pink flamingo shirt underneath
good.
it.
I did not dress up for this, unfortunately.
Oh, boo.
Dude, I was running around all day.
If I did,
No.
I would have had to have had the Oppenheimer hat.
Go see
Alright.
it. We recommend it.
So
Alright.
this is gonna be a bit of a shorter episode because we're gonna actually go right into filming our thoughts and discussion around Thursday's Hall H programming. So you're going to get 2 episodes basically back to back on the same day.
This is Olympic endurance podcasting right here that you're viewing.
Oh yeah.
And then as far as stuff that we know we're going to do for the rest of the week, we're going to have Pikman 4. That's going to be mostly helmed by Liam because James and I got our hands full at Comic-Con.
Oh yeah.
We're going to do My Adventures of Superman because apparently our fans like love it because it's got like 100+ views.
Yeah, thank you for that, by the way.
Thank you.
First triple-digit video. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we're gonna cover it weekly now.
Stick around.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna do a joint podcast with the most recent Secret Invasion episode, the most recent Superman episode, and then I have some hilarious news stories, some of which build off of last episode's big hitters.
Go watch the Flash NFT video if you don't know what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, stay tuned because part 2 is coming in.
Oh,
and
man.
Then we'll probably have a video dedicated to Friday and Saturday at Hall H because not as much is going on. So we got like 4 episodes coming out this week, and not including this one. So stay tuned. Go follow the Twitter.
Hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss it.
You like our content for the algorithm, and I think that's kind of it for me on this one. Anything else,
funny
you guys?
Stuff. No, go see it. That's all I got to say. Go see it. Both of them.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys. See you next time.